Hello everyone! Today I'll be working on a scarf made from thrift store angora and merino weft and a green cotton warp. I hope you enjoy. My name is Took. I'm a disabled genderqueer weaver who's had life take odd turns, but who knows that even tattered and worn yarn still has value, and that tired joints and health flares don't have to stop the journey. I weave exclusively with secondhand fibers, aided with adaptive warping, HR and OSHA cats, and a wonderful found family. Welcome to Hawksong Weaving, where all our paths are a little bit warped. I'm starting with a base warp of this gorgeous green cotton yarn that was donated to me from an older crafter who was looking to destash. I found the aqua angora and paired ombre merino yarn at a local thrift store. Most of my yarn for Hawksong Weaving comes from the Cooley Dickinson Hospice Thrift Store or the Goodwill Thrift Store, both in Northampton, Massachusetts. This was a fantastic haul. I got a lot of really soft aqua angora and purple angora. These will be used to make quite a few absolutely gorgeous scarves. A bit of an explanation onto why I've developed this adaptive warping method. I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which has cascaded into postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So for time's sake, know that I have joints that don't work well, and if I shift positions too quickly, I get pre-syncope or pre-fainting symptoms. All of this comes with chronic pain, so for a lot of reasons, a traditional warping board doesn't work for me, along with being really expensive and taking up a lot of space in my small studio. So I use an accordion coat rack as my warping board. It's nice and neat, it contracts into a nice smaller space, and I can adjust it as I need to. And I don't have to be up and down and all around and having tachycardia, a racing heart, that stresses out my medical alert cat Penelope. I speed up these videos quite a bit, but the actual measuring of the warp takes about 20 to 25 minutes all told. That is with several years of practice though. It's going to take you some time to get used to the movements, it's going to take time to build up the muscle memory, and that's okay and to be expected. With the warp threads sorted, I'm lifting up the loom to release the warping board from the loom, gathering the warp threads into one large bundle, using the back of my neck to drape them over and keep them tidy and out of the way, while I collapse the warping board and get it tucked out of the way until I'm at a full pause point, where I can get it unclamped from my desk and put back in its drawer. I use terry cloth towels to cushion the warp threads. This helps prevent the finished weaving from being tighter at the ends and looser in the middle, creating a sort of sausage profile in the weaving. Then it's just a matter of cranking the back bar of the loom to wind the warp onto the back bar and get it all ready for weaving. The way I warp has me cutting the warp loops at the end of winding the warp. This is what's easiest on my body. It won't work for everyone, but that's okay. This isn't a great angle, but I'm being careful to pay attention to how the warp threads are laying on the back bar of the loom, and the right hand thread goes through the smaller hole in the rigid heddle reed. It's not critical, and some minor mistakes aren't the end of the world, but it does make it easier to keep the tension of the warp threads even across the entire weaving. Speeding it up again, but this entire process took about 8 minutes. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you'd like to support my work, some free ways to do that are to like, subscribe, or follow, and share. This applies to other small artists as well. It's a great way to let the social media algorithms know that this is content worth watching. If you'd like to support me financially, there's a Buy Me a Coffee linked below, which acts as sort of a tip jar. Also, now that there are so many of you absolutely fantastic and wonderful subscribers, I've been able to link the online Hawksong weaving shop, so feel free to check out the unique hand-woven products. This next bit is absolutely a joke, but just in case, in this economy, I won't say no. For $1,000 a month, you can tell me that I'm not actually disabled, I'm just lazy, and to try whatever yoga, juice cleanse, snake oil nonsense fixed your cousin. Feel free to message me, and I'll get you my payment deets. I take Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal for this nonsense. Attaching the warp to the bottom apron bar is pretty easy. I finger comb it, get it separated into bits about 4 to 5 threads wide, separate those bits into 2, and then do a half hitch tie to the apron bar. Tucking in the other terry cloth and then tightening things up, cinching things up, making sure that it's the right tension for me for weaving. I tend to weave at a fairly high tension, but this is entirely up to each individual weaver's preference. It also makes sure that I use a fairly strong warp thread, because weaving at a high tension and not having strong warp thread is just asking for trouble. And here's the fun bit for most people. I love weaving with angora yarn. It's so soft and scrumptious, and it's soft but not microfiber soft. It doesn't catch on my calluses in the way that makes my brain scream. Also, I love weaving with ombre as the weft. Watching the color build on itself never gets old. And the glide of the cotton warp, it's just, it's so good. This particular scarf was inspired, the colors especially, by a renegade morning glory that I have growing in my backyard currently. I didn't plant it, I'm not sure where it came from. It's 2 leaves and 1 morning glory flower, and it's hanging on in there. You've got to respect that amount of tenacity. Just, nope, I'm going to blossom and I'm going to survive whether you like it or not. I know I was not invited to survive in this space, but I'm going to anyways. I don't know what that accent was or why the Morning Glory has it, but it does, so here we go. How is everyone's fall going? Any good pumpkins, apple picking, anything going on? I'm really looking forward to apple picking an upcoming weekend. It's going to be one of my partner's birthdays, and every year we go apple picking, and it's going to be an absolute blast. But what's going on in y'all's lives right now? I hope it's good, whatever it is. I only had a little bit more of the angora merino blend of the ombre part of this yarn. I've still got more of the angora aqua yarn, but the merino, I was running low. So this is me realizing that I'm going to win at warp and weft chicken and being incredibly excited by that. So just sharing that bit of weaver satisfaction and weaver joy. It doesn't always happen because I work with what I find at thrift stores or is donated to me. I can't really go out and buy more of this yarn because I don't necessarily know where it was originally purchased. Because there was enough of the warp left and I wanted this to be more specifically inspired by the Morning Glory, I had this blue merino that I just used for a final little stripe towards the end, a bit of an accent piece for lack of a better term. It makes the scarf feel more finished and more Morning Glory-esque, if that makes sense at all. Or maybe it just makes sense to my brain. Now tying off the scarf fringes, I prefer to do 2x2 warps tied into a fringe of 4, but will do a double sliding knot of 3 if I don't have a wide enough warp. As you can tell, I've sped this up again, just because time, but overall this takes about 8 minutes or so, not very long. 8 minutes or so per end, but yeah, so about 16 minutes all told. I steam block my wool blend scarves. This helps the wool fibers to soften into each other and relax into the weave. Without blocking, you can get wrinkles because the weave tends to be stiff without the added heat and water. And of course, Penelope Calico enjoying the ambiance of the birds and the squirrels all in the background. Up in the upper left corner, she's I love her so much, but oh, I'm never getting another calico ever again. She's so bossy. I did not sign up for a medical alert cat. Sigh. Once the steam blocking is finished, I eyeball the length of the fringe that I want and use the don't ask how much I spent on these good shears and trim it. The final step is between half an hour and 45 minutes of tying the fringe knots. This warp is a stronger cotton, so I'm definitely having a harder time cutting through this, so I'm being a bit more careful with my super sharp shears, just because I don't want to put that amount of pressure that I'm using to cut the warp onto my finger accidentally, because ouch. Thank you for coming along as I wove a scarf from different thrift store yarns and donated yarns. I'm so glad for the odd turn that your path took that brought you here. Thank you for spending time with me at Hawksong Weaving, where we're all a bit warped, and I hope that you have a truly excellent week.